Hello everyone, I'm Beastly Eel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the 2 episode premiere of Season 2 of My Adventures with Superman. Um, this was a shock to have happened as quickly as it did. I didn't find out that it was premiering until I think it was a week before it actually was premiering. But anyway, let's get right into it. So Season 2 starts off with the Valentine's Day episode, which is Clark trying to figure out the perfect Valentine's Day gift and night, I guess you would say, for Lois. However, everyone in the office basically states that he's picked a horrible choice and it's not going well, and he's going to lose Lois because of that. Well, the big boss is stating that they all have to stay and work during Valentine's Day, stating that he isn't happy that Vicky Vale um, has been getting the scoops on everything before he does, and he doesn't like that. So that's when Lois Lane comes in and explains how she knows what's going on out there. That apparently there is some sort of asteroid or meteor rotating around the Earth to the point where it is causing, I guess you would say, concerns for everyone. And the idea is it could be crashing down onto Earth and cause a um, catastrophic event. So they go hunting for it and everything else. They go to um, their version of NASA. I think it was actually Star Labs, to be honest with you, where one of the astronauts explains to Lois what's going on and everything else. And that's when Clark realizes that it might be a vision. He might know what it is. It's a ship, a Kryptonian ship to be specific. So they then go to Antarctica. I know what you're thinking. Oh, obviously, Superman took them. No, no, no. Johnny did. Johnny Olsen used his fortune to rent a jet to fly them to Antarctica. That's when Clark started having visions, seeing a vision of his father, and he flies towards it until he literally crashes inside of the ship. He and his dad talk. It turns out that his dad was having a difficult time communicating because he didn't learn the English language and it took some time. Plus, the fact that Clark and his family, his Earth family, dug the ship underground, so he was kept away from it for decades. That and also the fact of I'm losing track of my thoughts. Um, more the fact of him basically not really having the mentorship of his father. And it turns out that there are other people inside the ship as well. That's where um, Lois and Johnny get into the ship. But also, we find out that there's more than just those two. They're getting attacked by the ship's defenses, with aka the Brainiac Protocol, which we'll talk at the end. We then have Waller, Slade Wilson, and Damage, all breaking into the ship as well. That's when Superman goes to hunt down um, Lois and Johnny, and that's when there's a funny interaction between him and his dad, where he's stating like if he did anything like this to his mother, he would have to do the grandest gesture of romance, or else he'd be in big trouble. And Clark has just had enough of hearing about that stuff at that moment in time. He also finds out that apparently he has a cousin who left Krypton the same time as him, and apparently this time Supergirl is his age as well. So they left at the same age as infants. That being said, they continue on their conversation. They crash in. Clark goes in and faces Damage. Now, Damage is an enhanced human with Kryptonian technology. So the idea is the reason why he's called Damage is because his physical attributes are enhanced to the point where he can cause serious damage to Superman. So he goes toe to toe with Superman. The two of them fight it out. They crash down below where there's a piece of kryptonite that's poisoning the ship. During all of that, Superman is losing his abilities, and the Damage was also unable to move. Superman was feeling severe pain where uh, Damage lost control of his augmentations, and because of that, was basically frozen into place. So during that, Johnny and Lois try to get the um, kryptonite out of the ship. They were able to do so. With that, Superman was able to gain his powers back along with damage, and he took them all out with ease. And the ship actually, well, let me rephrase it this way: Superman was ready to take them out, but the ship decided to remove them from it, put them somewhere far away in Antarctica, and basically created what we assume to be the Fortress of Solitude. Now, the reason why I say it that way is because it's a ice-looking palace that is in the middle of Antarctica, which makes me think of none other than the Fortress of Solitude. So we have that going on. During that interaction with the Task Force X breaking in and Lois and Johnny trying to hide from them, Lois finds out that her father is being held captive by Task Force X and he's going to be interrogated. Now, the idea is Lois assumes he's going to be killed. That is neither here nor there. So, that being said, we have all that going on. We have that, and then we have Lois and Clark trying to talk to each other. Clark was unable to explain to Lois about his cousin, and then she, however, wanted to let him know that she needs to save her father, and he agrees. He's reluctant, I will say, but he does agree. So that was the end of episode 1. Episode 2 starts off with the weirdest pep talk by Amanda Waller to herself, which terrified me. We have the two of the we have her basically making a strong breakfast and everything else, and bringing it to none other than General Lang. Uh, Lane, sorry. And so this is where it gets weird too. So the idea is the two of them have a conversation. He's basically digging at her, she's digging at him. He then realizes she has the upper hand because she's threatening his daughter, and he's realizing that he is a little outmatched on that piece alone. So that being said, she made him that breakfast because she basically explained to him that, oh, I did this because this is the day you talk. And I just find that very interesting because she's assuming he's going to. So Superman and Lois, or Clark and Lois, I guess you would say, are stopped by a little boy who's stating that his dad disappeared. He was a librarian in the prison, and he was asking too many questions because a bunch of prisoners disappeared, and then he never came home. And he asked them because he knows that they know Superman. Could Superman save them, save his dad? So Superman decides to go there with Lois, mostly due to the fact that Lois thinks that this has Task Force X written all over it, and because of that, that's their closest lead of her finding her father. He then explains that he also was looking for his cousin, and she, however, doesn't think that's the greatest idea uh, because of all the stuff that has gone on in the past with Kryptonians. Clark wasn't super thrilled about that, but she wanted him to basically go and save her father, who wants him dead. Um, So they break into the prison. There's nobody there. They go through everything. They can't find anything. He finds an elevator shaft. They go down it. They realize they're in Task Force X facility. They break her father out of prison, um, where they basically he doesn't want to be saved because he says he has everything under control. Lois is basically like, "Well, Dad, I'm here to save you," and he's like, "No, this is the dumbest thing you've ever could have done." And that's when Atomic Skull comes in to fight Superman, while the rest of the Task Force X goes after General Lang and Lois Lane. I mean, Lane. So we have them break into one room where it turns into the testing facility where all the prisoners are being held, and all the prisoners have basically Kryptonian technology embedded into them, where it looks like they're experimenting on them. And apparently, whatever works, they use on their soldiers. Whatever doesn't, well, they don't try again. So during this, we have the Atomic Skull come in to fight Superman, and that's when Wade Wilson and Amanda Waller go after the other two. Superman fights Atomic Skull, and he has to outwit him because it looks like he has a real difficult time facing him. It looks like he's physically strong. He obviously has the flaming, melting magma radiation type thing going on. And so because of that, it's causing a lot of damage to him, although he does have super endurance. So uses the uncontrolled ability of Atomic Skull to cause basically the facility to fall on him and takes him out of commission. So that's when Superman takes off. So during all of this, Johnny Olsen has a bunch of interns for Firebird because the boss isn't happy that there's been no videos since they bought Firebird that they decided to add interns and a paid staff on his payroll to actually produce videos. So he tries to get to the prison to help out Superman and Lois Lane. However, there no more ferries going there, so he has to rent a huge yacht to bring over to the prison. That's important because Lois Lane and her father all get all the prisoners out of the building, but unfortunately, there is no ship there until Johnny gets there with his ship. So Task Force X thinks they win. They're going to shoot all the prisoners and take out everyone there. That's when Superman comes in, removes all their guns, smashes it to bits in his hands, throws it like confetti, and gets everyone out of there as quickly as possible. When we get onto the ship, Superman turns back into Clark, and the general is basically stating he is not happy with how Clark allows Lois to go in places unprotected with an alien. And Clark is trying to roll his eyes, not saying anything. And apparently, Lois wants her dad to live with her. He disagrees, and she says, "Well, why don't you live with Clark and Johnny?" And he says, "That's a great idea because I can finally teach him what it means to actually be a man and make sure to not let you go out alone with an alien." So Clark is not thrilled with that, but that's how that ends. Clark was also during the fight between him and Atomic Skull was able to grab the tracking device to figure out where his cousin is. So he'll most likely be using that relatively soon. Back at the Task Force X facility, we have Amanda Waller basically talking to her boss, stating how this was one issue. She's going to be fixing it. It's all under control, and whoever's on the phone is basically not believing her. So the guy with the parasite suit, parasite, no, paras. Why am I drawing a blank? Parasect. No, Parasect. I can't even speak today. That's awful. Um, the massive purple suit that the more energy absorbs, the stronger it becomes. So he breaks out and goes to kill Amanda Waller. She shoots him. His suit eventually gets bigger. He all of a sudden gets shut down and collapses right on the ground. And who's behind him? None other than Lex Luthor. So she's talking to him. He basically explains that he helped the scientist to create this suit, and that's why he was able to shut it down so easily because he knows the interlocking works of it, and because of it, was able to shut it down. And he explains to her that he wants to be their head scientist because he wants to protect the world from not only um, threats on planet but also from Superman like creatures. I guess the best way to phrase it. And so she agreed, and that's when Slade Wilson comes in to help Amanda Waller, but everything was taken care of. And she explains that obviously this Lex is more capable than he is, and he seems to be on top of things better than him. So we then have Lex Luthor joining Task Force X as the head scientist, and that, my friends, is the end of episode 2. So we have a lot to discuss. Um, Supergirl is going to be introduced, although we saw her in the trailer, so that shouldn't be all that shocking. We have Lex Luthor being more of a villainous scientist now. He's going to be specifically working with Task Force X. We have Atomic Skull that I would imagine is still alive. Damage, who knows what's going on with him? He might be making appearances again. We still have Deathstroke, Slade Wilson. We also have the introduction of the potential of Brainiac. So Brainiac in this seems to be an AI that was created by the Kryptonians to help aid them in their battles to create the Kryptonian Empire. However, it sounds and looks like Brainiac might have been so smart that it took over and decided to start taking out Kryptonians. But we'll have to wait and see. That's not been confirmed, nor has it been specifically stated, but they're heavily hinting at it, so I'm very curious to see how that goes. But let me know what you guys thought about these two episodes in the comments down below. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a great night.